GT Countdown Top 10 Arcade Games.
Before we could game on the go or even from the couch, the arcade was where games were played. Since the early 1900s, when the wooden coin-op dazzled onlookers and devoured pocket change, the arcades have created franchises that have grown above and beyond the public forum. They've survived this evolving industry by providing experiences even your 50-inch plasma and motion controllers can't emulate. Whether it's huge peripherals and unique interfaces that sink players deep into the game, or a spirit of competition that can only be fostered in person, the following games munched our quarters like no others.
He shoots from the outside. Great shot.
Number 10. Golden Tee Golf.
A lot of arcade games appeal to a certain segment of players, but Golden Tee truly transcended any sex, race, age, or genre bias. Its trackball controls, in hindsight, were a precursor to the success the Wii would eventually enjoy. Anyone could step up to this cabinet and immediately get it, and a generous margin for error made it a barroom favorite. Just about every pizza shop in the US has had a Golden Tee machine at one point or another, and all told, few arcade games made as much money one quarter at a time.
Call for one putt.
Number 9. Daytona USA.
Back in the 90s, any arcade worth its salt had a Daytona USA cabinet occupying a space front and center, blaring its infectious theme song during the odd moments it wasn't occupied. The very best arcades took advantage of the Seminole Racer's Link feature, boasting anywhere from 2 to 8 of the game's sit-down cabinets arranged side by side. Sure, in the post-Gran Turismo age, stock cars rolling around in an oval might be old hat, but back in Daytona's day, it was the height of racing.
You place 2040.
Number 8. Time Crisis 2.
Namco's release of Time Crisis 2 helped further popularize the light gun rail shooter, delivering an adrenaline-filled experience that made it an arcade classic. But it was the addition of simultaneous two-player co-op that elevated the sequel into our list, allowing each player to cover the other and revving up the intensity. Time Crisis 2 also introduced the Crisis Flash mechanic, alerting players to incoming fire that would directly cause damage, remedying the random guesswork of the original. There have been tons of light games in the past, but Time Crisis 2 was a true pioneer.
Number 7. X-Men.
We would have gladly traded in Dazzler for Beast, Gambit, or even Rogue, but if you ever found enough mutants to fill all 6 positions on the multi-screen unit, Konami's Uncanny X-Men became a beat-em-up bonanza. X-Men's assortment of heroes, bosses, and powers was an epic comic combo, knocking some meaty competition off this list like TMNT, Final Fight, and The Simpsons. Long before Activision built its Alliance of Legends, this was the only way Marvel Maniacs and friends could team up and throw down. Even modern console games won't allow 6 heroes to play with each other.
Number 6. NBA Jam.
Sports games have had a tough go of it in the arcades, but NBA Jam cracked the code and cracked it big time. Seemingly inspired by the high-flying exploits of Michael Jordan, though he wasn't even in the game, it threw realism out the window and allowed players to do what they always dreamed: dunk like there was no gravity. The NBA license gave it just enough authenticity to offset the goofiness, but most importantly, it was an incredibly balanced game with plenty of advanced techniques to separate the contenders from the pretenders.
Number 5. Mortal Kombat 2.
The first in Midway's fatality-driven franchise dipped its toes in the pool of extreme violence, but the sequel dove straight in. Piles of laundry laid forgotten as arcade-goers lavishly spent their hard-earned quarters to instead mutilate 6 brand new characters, including series stalwarts like Jax and Katana. Multiple fatalities, babalities, and friendships increased the finishing possibilities, while an increase in speed improved the overall experience. The series may be looking a little long in the tooth now, but back in the day, there were literally lines in the arcade to play MK2.
Number 4. Galaga.
Space Invaders is iconic and all that, but for pure shooting pleasure, it's tough to beat blasting away waves of robo-insects in Galaga. With memorization, reflexes, and rapid button mashing, you'll get way more than 25 cents worth of enjoyment simply listening to the addictive sounds of space bugs biting the dust. Challenge stages let you rack up huge bonus points without a fear of losing a life, and the ability to rescue a captured ship for double firepower is a brilliant idea that added a nice risk-reward system to the game. There's a reason it's still popular today.
Number 3. Dance Dance Revolution.
Introduced in Japan in 1998 and officially brought to US shores in 2000, Dance Dance Revolution quickly attracted new audiences to floundering arcades. Fleet-footed players flamboyantly showed their skills to crowds of enthusiastic spectators, and the franchise became so popular that it spawned over 60 variations on every platform from the PlayStation to the iPhone. DDR's familiar scrolling arrows laid a template for countless rhythm games, and as addicted players started to shed pounds, it foreshadowed the waves of fitness games to come. When most people think of arcades these days, the first image that comes to their mind is someone flailing away on a DDR machine.
Number 2. Street Fighter 2.
Before the days of competitive gaming on Xbox Live, Sega Net, or hell, even X-Band, there was the arcade, and no other game tested wallets and wits greater than Street Fighter 2. Released in 1991, Capcom's genre-defining masterpiece packed in the quarters with its innovative controls and detailed sprite graphics that were simply unmatched at the time. This series has since gone HD twice and found comfortable residence on the consoles. But no one can forget its roots in the arcade, or the rows of quarters that would pile up on the glass. Many still consider it the measuring stick of the fighting game acumen.
Number 1. Pac-Man.
Every game on this list was programmed, but Pac-Man was likely the first game that programmed you. The national obsession had people memorizing rigorous patterns in the pursuit of gluttonous ghost gobbling. It was the first video game to become a part of pop culture and spawn a bevy of non-gaming products. There were hint books and maps described by PhDs, a top 10 radio smash hit called Pac-Man Fever, an animated series, cereal, t-shirts, and much more. It's hard to think of any game that has eclipsed it in this regard to this day. The simple, no-nonsense, no-buttons maze action has been a mainstay in arcades for almost 30 years, along with The Misses, whose sequel shares this legacy of arcade excellence. Pac-Man cocktail cabinets are still in high demand, but it's all the other variables that make it the greatest arcade game of all time.